Hi. Today is July 24th. It's Thursday. Um and basically I am not pregnant anymore, which I already told you, right? Yeah. I had you. You are right here with me. I'm going to show you really quick because then I'm going to put you down in the rock and play. Bumblebee. Ah. Who's that cutie? Who's that cutie? Brandon Elijah. This is my Brandon Elijah. You're so cute. I love you. I just gave you a bath with Daddy. Daddy just went to get his hair cut. So now I'm going to tell you all about labor. Okay. Hopefully this won't take that long. um, so basically, I'm trying to remember everything because it's been a crazy week. Because it's like it happened so fast and slow at the same time. So it's just like, wow, baffling. I'm a mother and Brandon's a daddy, and we have the cutest little baby. Okay, where are we? We're Thursday. Last Thursday, actually, I went for the non-stress test, and they were concerned about my fluids when they checked the sonogram. So then I had mentioned that maybe I didn't know that I was leaking or not, because when I got up to pee the night before, like it felt like more than pee, but I didn't know. So they put me over to triage and labor and delivery, and they had me checked. I didn't go to work that day because I had to call in sick because of that. And they ended up discharging me like 2 hours later, and I didn't go into labor. But funny thing, the next day I go to work, and I planned to make it my last day of going into work, and I was gonna plan to like start working from home the following Monday on my due date. But so I went to work, had half a day because summer Fridays, walked around, got my nails done. I'd had my hair washed on Thursday because I was like, I'm already out, might as well wash my hair. And then on Friday night, me and Brandon were just hanging out in bed, and actually he was gonna go out, but ended up not because I was complaining about like aching stomach pain, like a little crampy I felt. But I've been feeling that for a while, so I didn't know what was gonna happen. All of a sudden, we're watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and we're laying in bed. I'm dozing off, and so is he. And then I feel a boop, like a pop. Now I didn't know what it was because I was like, maybe you just headbutted me, because usually that's what it felt like. But this was different. So then I felt a little wetness, and I asked Brandon to check, and he was like, it smells like pee. So then I went to the bathroom to pee, and okay, I peed. Then as I got up, water came out. Well, it was like more slimy and a little bit of white stuff mixed in. And I was like, Brandon! I think my water broke. And he came and he looked at it, and then it kept coming. It kept drizzling down. So I knew at that point water had broke. We kind of went into slight like excitement panic mode. The bags were packed already. It's just that that same day the crib mattress was delivered. My thank you notes for the baby shower were just delivered. Yeah, and so Brandon had just built the crib, I think the night before. Everything comes out for a reason, huh? So anyway, then as we're getting everything ready, I made sure that I cleared the camera and everything like that. We head to the hospital quickly. Before I know it, we're there. We got, what time did my water break? 10:57 is when Brandon said my water broke. And then after we got to the hospital, it kept coming out more, and I was soaking my dress. I had a maxi dress on, but it was apparently busy in triage, so we were waiting there for like an hour or so. And now these times that I'm saying are a little blurry because I was deliriously in pain. Make sure you're okay. Deliriously in pain, so I don't really know some things. Some things are a little foggy, but it's what I remember. So Then after I got into triage, they checked me. They put me on the monitors, check your heart rate. Um, they were checking to see if I was having contractions. They were saying it was like erratic or whatever, but it just felt like to me like period cramps, like intense period cramps, and think I could handle it at that point. Like I was just breathing through it, but I was also tired. So all that mixed in together is not good. But Brandon was really good. He was there with me, being very overprotective. My mommy came to the hospital with Paula, my sister, um, and basically waited outside in the waiting room until I was able to get into the labor and delivery room. So then hours pass by. I get into the labor and delivery room by 4 a.m. on July 19th. And then, let's see what's happened. It's a nice room, very spacious, big. You feel more comfortable in there. Um, so that's when like real labor started happening. Maybe I was in not transition mode, but what is the mode they call it? I totally forget. But it's not like the beginning of labor, but it's like real labor was starting. And I was in pain. I was just breathing through the contractions, which were coming like every 3 minutes. So I just kept going, a bunch of breathing, and it was a lot of backache pain. You know what I mean? It was like all the way my lower back and cramping in the front. So it felt like being immobilized. Very bad period cramps, but more intense. And it was very intense. Brandon kept massaging my back, putting heating. They had like heat pad things that they kept putting on me. Um, so by then they checked me, and I think so. When I first got to triage, they checked me. I was 1 centimeter still, and I had been 1 centimeter from weeks prior. Then at around 4 a.m., they checked me, and I had jumped to 4 centimeters. I think, yeah, it was 4 centimeters at 4 a.m. Then, or was it 6 a.m.? See, blurry. Don't remember a lot of these things, but because at some point Nini came to, Shaniqua came to the hospital. She was holding my hands through some contractions. I remember that. Brandon's mom came to the hospital. She helped a lot too. Your grandma. And it was a lot of just rubbing me, and the pain was so intense at one point that I threw up. I had lasagna for my last meal. Friday night I ate lasagna from Rocky's Pizzeria, and all of that lasagna came up sometime around 4 a.m. I don't know. And then, okay, so what am I thinking? The pains were intense, but they were manageable through breathing and through massage and through the heating pads. And then I also tried rolling on the ball, but I was a little scared to do it because I felt like I couldn't even get up. The pain was that bad. You know what I mean? I felt like I just needed to go to sleep. Which is what I usually feel when I have period cramps, because I just want to go to sleep and have it go away. But every time I try to go to sleep, baby, okay? Every time I try to go to sleep, the pain was so intense. This is probably going to be a really long video, and it's going to cut off, so I'll just keep going. But anyway, so the pain was so intense, and I kept trying to go to sleep, and I would be in and out of sleep, and then all of a sudden another contraction would hit. And I would be like, Brandon, help. And then he would massage my back and my butt area, because it was in the lower back. And it would ease, but I would just have to breathe through it. You know, it was like, I can't even explain the pain. But it was very painful. So anyway, okay, let's jump to maybe 10 a.m. I think they came back to check me. And I was 5 to 6 centimeters, but at that point the pain was so intense, and I don't know what time it was coming up to, but after that I was like, the nurse kept trying to push me. There was a new nurse, by the way. It was 2 nurses. The first nurse was Ashley. She was nice, and then by that time I think she left around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and the shift changed, and then a new nurse named Noah. I think her name was Noah. And she was like, she's probably just like, okay, I'm gonna do my job, but she was very abrupt about it, and she kept saying, I don't think you're gonna make it. I think you need to have the epidural. And I was like, I wasn't dead set about having an epidural. You know what I mean? I was thinking more go with the flow. I just didn't want to have to be forced into it, and I felt like she was forcing me to take the epidural. So every time she came in saying take the epidural, I was like, no. It cut off. Okay, so anyway, every time she kept telling me to take the epidural, I was telling her I'm fine. I want to do this naturally, and she kept saying it's more important that the baby comes out safely than you wanted to do this naturally or whatever without drugs. And I discussed earlier what kind of drugs that I want to take, like if before an epidural, but those I didn't really want to take because it makes the baby drowsy. Epidural doesn't. But anyway, so I didn't take any drugs up until then. They were saying I'm 5 to 6. I think another hour or so passed by, and I was still in so much pain. And now it was like delirious pain. Any kind of pressure that Brennan was putting on my back was not relieving it. It was coming back to back to back, like contraction after contraction. And my body and my mind were gone. I started getting tingly. I started throwing up bile. I couldn't feel my hands, my feet. The pain was that intense. So at that point, I'm extremely delirious. Nurse walks in, says, I think you need the epidural. And I'm like, okay. I just started saying, okay. So she calls for the anesthesiologist. And at that point, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do it, where the hell are these people? Because they kept taking their sweet time, and I'm in pain. It was contractions are back to back to back, no break. So then after all the, this is getting blurry. After that, they didn't check me, and I remember my mom asking them to check me, and I was probably like, I was being mean to people at that point, probably because I was just in so much pain. But so they asked, my mom wanted to know how many centimeters I was, because if I was far along, I probably didn't need the epidural. But they didn't check, and they were saying basically I'm 5 to 6 centimeters, but that was from a few hours before. I could have changed. So they came, anesthesiologist finally came. I'm nervous as hell because I didn't want to get the epidural because I'm scared that I maybe would never be able to walk again. You know what I mean? Which is probably a fear that's not rational, but that was one of my fears. Cut off again. Anyway, so I was at the epidural part. Baby, you're in my arms now because you started fussing a little bit. Anyway, so where was I? Epidural. So yeah, my fear was that basically I was gonna not be able to walk anymore. So anyway, they finally come in. They're taking their sweet time as I'm getting pain after pain. I'm holding on to Brandon. I'm like sitting on the bed, but I'm still getting these pains. So they're telling me not to move, and I can't move, and I'm still in pain. So it's hard to do that when you're in delirious pain and you're getting all this pressure. And I was so scared. So basically, they put the needle in my back. That didn't hurt. It was just like a pinch. But then all of a sudden, I felt this cooling, like cold thing in my back. And I'm guessing those were the drugs. And I started to feel like tingling. And I was getting a cramp in my right calf, like a Charlie horse. And, But every time they put the needle in, I would get like a zing, like a involuntary thing, like they were on my nerve. And then that same leg kept jumping up. It jumped, I think, 3 times. But anyway, I really wish I didn't get the epidural, because then right after that, so as I'm being put back on my back, all of a sudden I hear the nurse say, heart rate low, nurse, or something. And then I'm like a million, either doctors, residents, nurses came in. She was calling for the OR. They were basically trying to make me turn. I was in panic mode already. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna have to have a C-section. But they were basically ready to have this C-section stat if anything was about to happen. But then I think like they kept checking to see if the heart rate was still down, and one of the doctors said, I heard it was fine. So they checked again, and then they inserted this thing in my vagina that attached to the top of the head. Oh great, my battery's running low. Attached to the top of the head, and basically they checked your heart rate and you were fine again. So, and then they put oxygen on me. But at that point, I didn't know that I was not getting a C-section. And here I am thinking that they're prepping me, because the nurse had already looked at my earrings. She was like checking, are you wearing jewelry, all that. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm about to be wheeled into the ER. but I wasn't, thank God. But as I was thinking that, I started involuntary shaking all over. My body was just like, I was so scared, and Brandon kept trying to calm me down. Oh my God, it was so scary. But then finally, I was like, but I was telling them, oh, but I'm gonna have to have a C-section, and they said, no, I'm not. And then my body calmed down. I stopped shaking. But they kept the oxygen on me, and then I don't even know how much time passed by. Oh, booby. Okay. I don't even know how much time passed by, but then all of a sudden, like, there was no pain because of the epidural, but I was getting pressure. I still felt the pressure. So that kind of was uncomfortable, and I was holding on to the side of the bed, like trying not to push, but my body felt like it was just involuntary pushing anyway. So I kept telling the doctor, which by the way wasn't my doctor. My doctor apologized apparently and couldn't make it, but it was another doctor named Dr. Dietz, and she was actually really nice. I liked her. And she came in, she said, if you keep feeling more pressure, then call me again. So Shanika came in, and she was holding my hand, and I was like telling her, I have a lot of pressure, I have a lot of pressure. And I told her, call the doctor. And at that point, they came back in, they checked, and the doctor checked me, and I was, she checked me before, and I was 9 centimeters, right after the epidural. Then they checked me again, 10 centimeters, ready to push. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. This baby's gonna be born really soon. It was really exciting. So then as it's time to push, hey booby, I don't remember how many pushes it took, but okay, so they had, one nurse was on my left holding my one leg. They told me to hold back my legs as well too. And Brandon was on my right holding the other leg. And I really wish he didn't ask, but he was saying, can I take video? And the doctor said no. She probably shouldn't have asked. Probably should have just took the video. But anyway, there's no video or pictures of me pushing, but there's video of right after, there's pictures of right after when he came out. But anyway, so then I pushed probably 5-6 times, and they told me, bear down like you're taking a poop. And I started grunting a little bit. Okay, baby. And they were like, oh, you're a good pusher, because all of a sudden they saw the back of your head, and all of a sudden I saw you coming out too. It all happened so fast. And then they said, stop pushing. And so I stopped pushing, but you just flew out. You came right out, and Dr. Dietz caught you. And before he even had time, she already cut the umbilical cord. Brandon didn't get to cut the umbilical cord. Everything changed. But you know what? All that matters is that you're out and you're healthy. And you're so adorable. So after all that shock and craziness, and me being in panic mode, thinking that I'm going to have a C-section, to quickly being, having you delivered, then the world got light again, and all of a sudden the staff that takes care of the babies to make sure, like, when the babies are out, they're like, so let's play guess your weight. It was like a totally different world right after that. Okay, baby. It was a totally different world. So and then after that, I was just, I didn't cry. I thought I was going to cry when they put you on me. They put you on me the minute you came out, right? I was just in shock. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you just came out of me. And then, so was Brandon. And then they took you away to go get weighed and cleaned up and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't get to basically hold you for another few minutes, probably about another 10, 15 minutes, I don't know. Because I was being sewed up because I got a 2nd-degree tear from you shooting out of me. So Dr. Dietz was sewing me up. There's a lot of blood everywhere, apparently. It's not a clean process. A lot of blood, a lot of pain. But you are here, and you are safe, and that's all that matters. I was going to talk about more like the postpartum and what happened right after delivery. Right after delivery, they cleaned me up. Like, everybody at that point has seen my vagina. Some lady came, she splashed water on my vagina after they did the stitches. Splashed water on my vagina, cleaned it up. It was so weird. Like it was no big deal. Everybody's all around the room. Vagina's out. And they're cleaning me. It's like a bloody show at the bottom of the table. So weird, but... And then we didn't get admitted to the not labor and delivery, the place where I stayed. I don't know what they call it. We didn't get admitted to the private room until like 4 hours later. So I was sitting in that labor and delivery room for hours after you were born, just holding you. and people came in. Nene came in. Your great grandma was there. Your grandma, which is Brandon's mom, sorry, and my mom, which is your other grandma, all were there. But the only people who were in the room when you were being delivered was my mom and Brandon, because they pushed everybody out of the room. I don't understand why. But so that was my labor and delivery story. It was a lot of pain, but it was all worth it. And you are so beautiful. I think I'm gonna do talk about postpartum and what happened at the hospital, and breastfeeding and all that kind of fun stuff in another video, because that is kind of like another area of what happened. It's not labor and delivery. But okay, you're getting a little fussy now, so I'm gonna see if you need a diaper change, and then we're gonna feed. Right? All right. Okay, see ya at postpartum. Because what is today? I think today is only day 5. You are 5 days old today. But yeah, I'm gonna make a 1-week video postpartum on Saturday probably. And we'll talk about breastfeeding and how my boobs are engorged and how I'm crying and all this other fun stuff. All right, I love you. Mwah.